Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It was a little bit of chaos for us Michigan fans on the recruiting trail over the last 48 hours, and Michigan's put a bow on their 2026 class. Now, I want to give some initial reactions from myself regarding what Michigan did on the recruiting trail. I also want to give out some class superlatives. Look, to the Michigan fans who've been rocking with the boys the last year as we've broken down these commitments, talked about top targets. This is the best way to put a bow on it. Give out some class superlatives, talk about the diamonds in the rough, talk about the guys that we think will have the biggest day one impact. But I want to start with this the chaos that unfolded over the last 24 hours. You lose four-star defensive lineman Julian Walker to South Carolina. I, I don't know how surprised we are, right? I think a lot of us Michigan fans were really damn excited when this kid committed to Michigan back in the summer. I think a lot of us Michigan fans who follow this stuff closely knew maybe we didn't have the greatest chance of holding on to that commitment. He flips to South Carolina yesterday. Zion Robinson, he flips his commitment to Stanford. I got to give Sherrone Moore a little golf clap here, though. A really good pivot. Instead of getting into a bidding war for Zion Robinson, you just take those resources, you give them to Brady Marchese, four-star wide receiver who's been committed to Georgia, flips his commitment to Michigan. And here's my opinion on this: is I think Brady Marchese is better suited to have a more immediate impact on Michigan over the next 2 years. And I think that's what Michigan was looking for, man. I mean, when you look at Michigan at the wide receiver position, we're not in a spot to take these developmental prospects that are going to take a couple of years. We need immediate impact from these guys over the next couple of years. And as good and as talented as I think Zion Robinson is, I think Brady Marchese is a little bit more physically developed. I think he's got a better opportunity to come in and provide value to Michigan in a way that maybe Zion Robinson couldn't. My overall take is that it wasn't as exciting as it was 12 months ago when Michigan closed out 2025. We saw Michigan get really damn aggressive, throwing a lot of resources around. I think you're going to see Michigan show their aggression in the transfer portal this year. And the reason being is go look at this Michigan roster. It was the youngest football team in the Big Ten in 2025. We have the young talent in this program. I don't think there's any question mark about that. What Michigan needs in 2026 is more immediate impact guys at certain positions, most notably wide receiver. I think the thought process for Sherrone Moore in this Michigan front office is instead of throwing a ton of money around at the high school ranks on guys that might take a year or two before they're ready, save some of those resources, go to the transfer portal and get guys that can immediately come in 2026 and fix some of the problems we have on this roster. I think that's why you saw Michigan get a little bit less aggressive at the high school ranks this year as opposed to last year. But I will say this, the next couple of weeks and months, Michigan's efforts in the transfer portal, that's a big deal for a lot of us Michigan fans because we better see them get aggressive. Before we get into the class superlatives, I do just want to give a shout out to the Michigan fans. Um, Many of y'all know I'm a Michigan fan. Love talking about this kind of stuff. The amount of support this fan base has shown the boys has been amazing. I can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Here's the other thing. Look, if you're watching this on a Friday morning, I know damn well that the Michigan fans who are watching this follow this stuff closely too. Let it fly in the comment section. Who do you think has the biggest day one impact? Who's the diamond in the rough in this class that you're most excited about? Let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. Let's get into biggest day one impact. I think this one's pretty dang obvious, and that's Savion Hyder. I think that's the reason why Michigan was prepared to pay the money they were prepared to pay for Savion Hyder. This is a guy that, hey, we're not going to have to wait long to see a return on our investment. I mean, there are people in the scouting community that view Savion as one of the most talented running backs that we've seen come out of high school in the last couple of years. What I like most about this addition is he's a really talented back that's going to be behind a really talented offensive line over the next couple of years. And you look at the combination between Savion and Jordan Marshall next year, immediately one of the best running back duos in the country. Now, what does that mean for Justice Haynes? If you did not land Savion, I think you would have seen Michigan maybe get really aggressive to keep Justice Haynes out of the NFL draft. Justice Haynes has played himself into a position where he could very well go to the NFL draft, or Michigan could make a big NIL play to keep him around one more year. Landing Savion Hyder allows you to, and I don't want to use the term let Justice Haynes walk. And I don't think there's any Michigan fan that wouldn't take Justice Haynes back for one more year. But if we're having that conversation of, hey, would we want to give a lot of money to Justice Haynes to come back for one more year, or go out and get a wide receiver one in the transfer portal? That answer is relatively obvious with Savion Hyder coming in, where we're good at the running back position with Jordan Marshall, Savion, and Bryson Cusdall, and a couple other young backs. We need more help at the wide receiver position. I think landing Savion, day one impact kind of guy, but also allows Michigan to say, hey, good luck to Justice Haynes in the NFL. Let's go get a bona fide wide receiver one to continue to build around Bryce Underwood. Number two, the my guy, the guy that I just will probably my favorite player in the 2026 cycle. That's Alistair Vallejo. And I can't get it out of my head. And I know this is a irresponsible comp to make because I'm about to compare him to one of the best defensive linemen we've seen in the sport the last 2 decades, Mason Graham. And it doesn't help that he wears 56 and he damn near looks like 55 out there. And he has very similar game to Mason Graham, right? I mean, he is an extremely athletic and twitchy individual on the inside. He challenges these interior offensive linemen from an athleticism standpoint in ways that not a lot of other defensive linemen can. Has a little finesse to his game, but can use some horsepower as well. I I think this kid's a stud. I was a huge fan of him after his junior year. You go turn on the senior year film, there's a reason he got a bump in the rankings. Really, really excited. Now, here's the question. Can Alistair Vallejo come in and provide immediate value to Michigan? I'm not sure. Like that, this is one of the bigger storylines to monitor as we go through spring practice and go into fall camp. Is Alistair Vallejo a guy that can help us? We're losing Trey Williams, losing Rayshon Benny, losing Demond Payne. We need some guys to step up. Can Alistair Vallejo be that guy? He's big enough. I think he's physical enough. We'll kind of find out over the next couple of weeks and months. Number three, the diamond in the rough. And there are so many different guys you could go, and I actually cheated and just went with two. Number one, and he's not really a diamond in the rough anymore. He was a diamond in the rough when he committed to Michigan back in the summer. Marky Walbridge. This kid's senior year film was a borderline elite, man. Like there's a reason he jumped up hundreds of spots in the national rankings, but like certified blue chip tackle now. I Here's what I love most about him. Really good athlete. We've seen Michigan lean into this over the last couple of years, getting a little bit more athletic on the offensive line, asking these guys to pull play side, having them climb to the second level, running some more outside zone. I think you get some position versatility too. He's 6'6". He looks like he can be a tackle. I also think he can be a really damn good guard. Like you put this kid in a phone booth and just ask him to be explosive and powerful. I think that might be where he's best suited. And you look at Michigan's tackle room and say, well, you got Babs, Ty Haywood, Blake Frazier, Andrew Sprague, like all guys that have multiple years of eligibility remaining. Maybe for a guy like Marky Walbridge, you get him on the field early as a guard, transition him to tackle as he gets a little bit older. Having a guy that can play multiple positions on the offensive line, it's big. I think that's what you get in Marky Walbridge. He was not the flashiest name when he committed to Michigan. He is one of my favorite kids that's coming to Michigan in 2026. Now, the other name here, Tariq Bonney. Really just an underrated football player. Everybody's talking about Carter Meadows. Like, here's the fact. Tariq Bonney is a better player than Carter Meadows right now. Now, Carter Meadows very well could be a better football player, and we'll talk about him in a second. Better football player in 3 years. Tariq Bonney's a better football player now. Why is he so low in the rankings? Because he's 6'1". It's rare to see edge rushers have a ton of success when they're that short. We just saw it with Josiah Stewart. And here's the thing with Tariq Bond is one really powerful individual. Has a low center of gravity because he's 6'1", but he can get under tackles and move them around. But his first step and his ability to bend, it's really, really good. And this is a guy that I think the biggest concern for Tariq Bond is how big can he get? Josiah Stewart was short, but got up to around 250 pounds. Can Tariq Bonnie get up to that and be a guy that you can get on the football field in 1st and 10 and ask him to stop the run? I think he'll be a very good pass rusher for Michigan. How big is he going to get? How physical is he going to get? Is he a guy that you can trust to stop the run in the Big Ten? And he plays. I mean, the motor's elite with this kid. I mean, plays really, really hard. I'm a huge fan of Tariq Bonnie. Was never going to be a 4-star prospect because he just did not have the physical traits of a 4-star prospect. There's a time to bet on traits, and there's a time to just bet on football players. And Tariq Bonnie's a really good football player. The top 10 pick. This one, I think there's two guys that you could go with, right? Going back to the big class here. Carter Meadows is the one I went with for obvious reasons. The other one that's sneaky here, Malachi Lee. I mean, just a monster offensive tackle from the state of Hawaii. If he little bit heavy-footed right now. Like there are some question marks about his athleticism at the tackle spot. If he can get that right, I mean, usually God don't make guys that look like Malachi Lee very often. He needs extremely long, 35-inch arms. If he puts it together, Malachi Lee could be a guy that the NFL's drooling over the next 3 years. But Carter Meadows is the pick. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason he's got 5 stars next to his name. Really dripping with traits. I mean, 6'6", explosive, has the ability to bend. He's long in the arms. Now, here's the thing with Carter Meadows is got to put on some weight. Now, here's what I really am excited about is this kid was a really good hooper. Spent his winters as a football player at the high school ranks on the hardwood playing basketball. What does it look like with him with a full offseason in a Michigan weight room? Like, how much weight can he put on? If you can get this kid to 250 pounds, 260 pounds, get that play strength a little bit closer to where it needs to be, really dangerous cat. And here's the thing, you're already seeing that, right? I mean, I thought Carter Meadows took a massive step in his senior year. And so you get another step going into college. Maybe the most important player in this Michigan class, if we're being honest. Like what really hurt Michigan against Ohio State? And that's kind of what we're chasing, right? If you're a Michigan fan, you're looking at it, and it's like winning national championships, but beating Ohio State. If you want to win national championships, you got to go through Ohio State to do that. How do you get to Ohio State? You have to dominate them up front, right? There's no secret why Michigan had success against Ohio State over the last 3 to 4 years. You had guys like Josiah Stewart and Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, Chris Jenkins, Derek Moore. We lacked it a little bit this year. Just did not get after the quarterback the way you need to if you want to beat Ohio State. You're looking at a guy that can change that, Carter Meadows. Now the question is, how quick is it going to happen? Is he going to be a guy that can provide value early? Because if he can, and you get some development from a guy like Nate Marshall, that's what Michigan's looking for here. And it's really important that Carter Meadows hits because, look, it's really hard to find guys that are like Carter Meadows in the portal. If you want to fix your pass rush, it's really hard to address in the portal because there's not that many elite pass rushes. There's going to be so many good wide receivers for Michigan to go look at. There's not going to be many guys that have the upside of Carter Meadows. Really important that you hit with this kid. Last one, the slow burn, the guy that we're probably not going to hear much from over the first 2 years. Wait till year 3, Jamarian Vincent. I think this kid athletically is very gifted. 6'2", he's a really wiry kid. And look, he ain't going to get that big. He's narrow, right? He's probably going to get to 185 pounds at the most. He's long, he's fast, and he's twitchy. Like, really good change of direction. He is new to the position, plays a lot of quarterback, plays some wide receiver, does not really spend a ton of time playing defensive back at the high school ranks. Teach this kid the sport a little bit more. Get the weight that you need to get on Jamarian Vincent. And look, we have time, right? You got a guy like Jaden Sanders. Maybe Zeke Berry or Jair Hill comes back for one more year. Elijah Dotson, Shamari Rose. You have guys that can play right now that allowed Jamari and Vincent to wait in the wings. Potentially cornerback one material with the gifts this kid has. Again, overall, this is a top 12 class for Michigan. We'll take it as long as you supplement it in the portal. There's two ways to get national championship roster. Number one, top 5 classes at the high school ranks, very limited portal additions, or you can go, hey, we're going to sign a solid high school class. But if you're going to sit around 11, 12, you got to do work in the portal. We'll see if Michigan does that. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Been a blast covering this team for the last 10 months on the recruiting trail. And now we're focused on the portal. It feels like maybe the most important month of Sherrone Moore's tenure in Michigan so far. We got to get this roster right. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.